Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham Dhammam Sangham Namassami. Good evening and welcome to this Tuesday night Sutta program with the Empty Cloud Monastery. We're now coming into the second week of a series that was requested, looking at the 10 perfections or the 10 paramis, which is in the it's given in the Jataka stories, and it's especially given in the Charya Pitaka, which is a text that's actually the last text that was added to the canon of Theravada Buddhism. As we said last time, the devotion to the paramis and the practice of the paramis was very much associated with the previous lifetimes of the Bodhisattva over many, countless lives, hundreds of lives, thousands of lifetimes, when there was a dark age, when the world had forgotten how to come to the end of suffering, and it had to be discovered anew. And the Bodhisattva in those lives was cultivating the purification of his heart and mind in order to prepare the ground for the breakthrough of enlightenment. I'm going to read you some of the stories that are given in the Charya Pitaka about the perfection of sila, the perfection of virtue, the perfection of ethics and morality. But before I do that, I'm going to give you a very short reading from the Anguttara Nikaya, which gives a little taste, a slightly different way that the importance of sila is treated in most of the suttas than the way it's treated as one of the paramis. So there's two different treatments. So I'm reading here Abhisanda Sutta, the overflowing of merit. Mendicants, there are these 8 kinds of overflowing merit, overflowing goodness. They nurture happiness and are conducive to heaven, ripening in happiness and leading to heaven. They lead to what is likable, desirable, agreeable to welfare and happiness. So this is in Pali called punya. It's what's called merit. And in another phrase is called kusala, which is sometimes translated as skillful. So punya is definitely defined almost as being the kind of behavior that reduces suffering and supports happiness. So this is like one of the principles of ethics in philosophy. What's the difference? How can you tell whether something is good or evil? How do you know? Is it because of rules? Is it because of tradition? Is it because of the opinion of the majority? No. In this case, and maybe in some other systems, you could say that morality is something that was handed down from God in a series of rules, and so that's where it comes from. Or some places could say that the opinion of the majority determines what's good or bad. But the Buddha defined it as being what is conducive to happiness. And that means true happiness. It doesn't just mean the sensual pleasure, which is a kind of poor quality, unstable, extremely impermanent form of happiness, which quickly leads to disappointment, but more the kind of happiness which is long-lasting. And in this case, it's referring to a heavenly rebirth. So the kind of rebirth that a person takes is then comes to the thought of karma or karma, the cause and effect, that the character of our ethical choices, our ethical decisions has a result, both moment to moment. There's a karma with immediate result. If I do something wholesome, I may immediately feel some joy and happiness. And then it also has a long-term result within this lifetime. If I do wholesome karma, and that becomes the habit of the mind, then in effect, a good deed becomes a good character, and I become a virtuous person, and a virtuous person is a happy person. And then, of course, we know that whether you say someone is a good person or an evil person, it's not that they have some kind of permanent essence that is stuck to them, that is never changing. But instead, the karma is like an accumulation of habits that's got a certain kind of momentum. So if a person's done thousands and thousands of wholesome, beautiful, skillful choices, then it's much easier to go down that same track. And then from life to life, the heavenly rebirth in the Buddhist cosmology is a result of merit or wholesome karma if a person does not realize enlightenment. If they realize enlightenment, they come to the end of rebirth. But if they don't yet come to the end of rebirth, they may take a heavenly state. And it's not so much developed here, but this happiness arising from skillful and meritorious ethical choices creates the condition for wisdom to arise. It creates the condition for success in deep meditation. So the possibility of the arising of a wisdom or that breakthrough is definitely that skillful ethical choices is not the only condition, but it is a necessary condition for that other kind of success. Okay, so what are these 8? Okay. First, a disciple has gone for refuge to the Buddha. This is the first kind of overflowing merit. They've gone for refuge to the teaching or to the Dhamma. That's the second kind. They've gone for refuge to the Sangha. That's the third kind. So that initial confidence and faith, you could say the trust, that we trust this path of practice. If we don't have trust, we won't be able to do the work consistently unless we trust that this is a safe path and it's a successful path. And we're so glad that we've had the chance to experience that this Dhamma that's taught by the Buddha and realized by the Sangha of the Buddha's followers is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end. So at the very early stages of doing and undertaking these practices, we can already begin to see the results, and the deeper we go, the more results we see. And that means it's possible for that trust in the path to build up. So we should not expect to torture ourselves with the expectation that later on we'll get some benefit. The Buddha said, mendicants, these 5 gifts are great, primordial, long-standing, traditional, and ancient. They are uncorrupted as they have been since the beginning. They are not being corrupted now, nor will they be. Sensible ascetics and Brahmins don't look down on them. What 5? And these are going to be the 5 precepts. First, a noble disciple gives up killing living creatures. By doing so, they give to countless sentient beings the gift of freedom from fear, freedom from enmity, freedom from ill will. This one sentence is the idea that I wanted to get across by choosing this reading, that if a person begins with the general right thought or right intention of wishing to be harmless, wishing to be generous, that's the previous step on the part of the Eightfold Path. It starts out with right view and effect as having some level of confidence, and then what's called right thought, the thought of harmlessness, the thought of non-cruelty, and the thought of generosity is the second point. But when these general motivations are crystallized into the precepts that we undertake, then they become much more powerful, much more clear, much more easy to see, easy to practice, because it's like when if you develop a perception of something, if you put a frame around it, you say, I'm putting a frame around my face. So your perception of my face is more distinct when it's framed in that way. And so just the same way, your general idea about not harming becomes more distinct, more precise, more powerful if you frame it in terms of the precepts. And the first precept, not to kill. So they give this gift of freedom from fear, enmity, and ill will, and they themselves also enjoy unlimited freedom from fear, enmity, and ill will. This is the first gift that is a great offering, primordial, long-standing, traditional, and ancient. It's uncorrupted as it has been since the beginning. It's not being corrupted now, nor will it be. Sensible ascetics and Brahmins don't look down on it. And then it goes on to say that the noble disciple gives up stealing. The noble disciple gives up sexual misconduct. The noble disciple gives up lying. And the noble disciple gives up beer, wine, and liquor intoxicants. And all of those ethical precepts are giving that gift to countless other beings, as well as giving that gift to our own self. And so this is establishing in one way that people who may have undertaken 8 precepts, 10 precepts, 75 precepts, or 311 precepts will always give the most precious and valuable place to the 5 precepts, knowing how valuable and important the 5 precepts are. The additional precepts that a person may take on retreats provide many more aids and assistance and details to help cut away the tendency towards different kinds of clinging to essential pleasures or different attachments, to reduce the distractions, to simplify one's life in order to create even more space for meditation. But these first 5 are actually the fundamental interpersonal morality that we have, that is for the protection of ourselves and others, including others who are humans and also others who are non-humans. Now I'm going to read you some of the stories in the Charya Pitaka. Okay, here we go. Now the Buddha is describing his previous lives. Once I lived in a forest as an elephant who provided for his mother. At that time, no one on earth could equal my virtues. Seeing me in the forest, a forester informed the king about me. Great king, an elephant that befits you is dwelling in the forest grove. No need to dig a moat around him, nor tether him to a post in a pit. Taken by the trunk, he will come here by himself. When he heard these words, the king, elated, sent an elephant tamer, a well-trained and expert tutor. When the elephant tamer reached there, he saw me in a lotus pond pulling out lotus roots to feed my mother. Discerning my moral virtue, he checked me for marks. Saying, "Come, child," he took me by the trunk. What was at that time the natural strength of my body would equal 1,000 of the elephants of today. If I had been upset with those who came to capture me, I would have had the power to defeat even a kingdom of men. Nevertheless, for the sake of guarding my ethics and fulfilling my perfection of ethics, I did not let my mind change, even as they caged me. Even were they to beat me with hatchets and lances, I would never become upset for fear of violating my ethics. So we see here that in this story and in many others, the perfection of virtue is not primarily practiced by somebody who's in the safety of living in a monastery or living in a place where there are not any challenges, but rather the perfection is accomplished when one is subject to oppression, when one is subject to injustice, when one is captured and taken into slavery, when one is taken away from one's dear beloved mother, separated from the beauty and freedom of the forest and the pleasant and peaceful abiding of the lotus pond, and then taken to the king's elephant stables, and where they would be around a lot of people and a lot of dust and noise, and be required to do all kinds of work for humans, possibly even be required to go into battle. So the perfection of morality, the perfection of virtue, is also involved with that state of mind, which would be the precursor to committing a fault. So it would be because of anger that one might kill, or it could be because of greed that one might steal, or could be because of fear that one might tell a lie. And so in his striving to reach this perfection, not only is he avoiding those kind of external actions, but also he's making the claim that he did the internal stability, the imperturbable quality, so that the state of mind is so pure that it could not be disturbed. Let's try another one. Here's the dragon. Buridata is a dragon. We're not exactly sure what creature it is from this poem, but in the Jataka story that's related to this, Bhikkhu Sujata concluded that it was a dragon. I was Buridata, a great dragon of great psychic power, together with Virupaka, the great king. I went to a heavenly realm. Virupaka is one of the kings of one of the snake kingdoms, There I saw gods wholly given over to pleasure. For the sake of going to that heaven, I undertook the observance of ethics. So here he's practicing both not stealing and also extremity of generosity. After tending to my physical needs and eating enough to get by, I resolved on the 4 factors and lay down on top of a termite mound, thinking, my outer skin, inner flesh, sinew, and bones, whoever has use for these, they are already given. Please take them. So he's offering the 4 factors are the skin, the flesh, the sinews, and the bones. So he's done the meditation on the parts of the body and become disenchanted with the parts of the body. And it's expressed in this story in giving his body to the termites. in Christianity, Jesus gave his body and allowed the soldiers to crucify him. And he did that for the benefit and the welfare of beings. And we have the appreciation that it was not some kind of self-destructive a deed that Christ did by allowing that to happen, but instead the extremity of nonviolence. He did not cause the violence against himself, but he accepted the violence that came to him. And so in this case, this dragon is allowing his body to be taken, or he's willing for this body to be taken by termites. But while he was lying there, an evil Brahmin named Ayyā grabbed me. He threw me in a basket and made me perform in places all over. Having thrown in a basket and crushed by his hands, I did not get upset with Ayyā for fear of breaking my ethics. To give up my own life was as light as a blade of grass. To transgress my ethical principles was like overturning the earth. In 100 successive lives, I would give up my own life. I would not even violate my ethics for the sake of the 4 continents. So this is the shift, the cognitive reframing of what's real and significant and what's ephemeral, impermanent, and insignificant. The idea that one's ethical principles is like overturning the earth. That's to be like if somebody is imperturbable. In the Thich Nhat Hanh song, he says, I'm as solid as a mountain. And you do this, I'm as solid as a mountain, free as the air. So this solidity and immovable quality is the quality that the Bodhisattva developed with his ethics. Her ethics were unmovable and unshakable. And then in terms of his attachment to his body, he was free as the air. Easy to let it come and go. For the sake of protecting ethics and fulfilling my perfection of ethics, I did not let my mind change, even when thrown in a basket. Okay, here's another dragon. Kampayaka. There I was, Kampayaka, a dragon of great power, great psychic power, furnished with precepts and vows. Then a snake charmer who caught me lived righteously, observing the Sabbath, and he made me perform at the royal gate. Whatever color he thought of, blue, yellow, or red, I conformed to his wish, taking the appearance of his thought. I could turn dry land to water and water to dry land if I were upset with him. I could reduce him to ash in an instant. If I was under the sway of my thoughts, I would have fallen from my ethics. But one who has fallen from their ethics do not succeed at the highest goal. Gladly let this body be broken. Let it be scattered in this very place. Not even for that would I break my ethics, if it were being scattered like hay. So in this case, this bodhisattva has the psychic powers. So the thoughts of the mind are so powerful, they can change the physical world with the thoughts, and they can change their own body with the thoughts, and they can perceive the thoughts of others with their mind. But even as great as the powers of the mind are, the power of the ethics and precepts is even greater, more powerful than that. Here's the conduct of Chula Bodhi. Then again, when I was the very virtuous Chula Bodhi, seeing rebirth as fearful, I renounced the worldly life. So he became a wandering recluse. She who had been my partner, a Brahmin lady with golden skin, unconcerned with the cycle of rebirths, also renounced worldly life. Without clinging, cutting off family, unconcerned with family or group, we walked from village to town until we reached Varanasi. There we lived alert, mixing not with a family or group, quiet and undisturbed. We both stayed in the royal park. Visiting the park, the king saw the Brahmin lady. She approached me and asked, "Is she your wife? Whose is she?" When he said this, to him I said the following: "She is not my wife. We share the same teaching and belief." Infatuated with her, he had his men seize her, compelling her by force. He brought her to the royal compound. She who became mine by touching a water jar, that's a reference to the marriage ceremony. I'm not completely sure what the full ceremony is, but I think it might involve that the betrothed, they pour water over the hands of each other as a part of that ceremony. Born together, one in beliefs. When he dragged her away, I felt so angry. Together with the arousing of anger, I remembered my precepts and vows, and right there, I controlled my anger. I did not allow it to grow. If anyone were to attack that Brahmin lady with a sharp knife, not even for that would I violate my ethics, because it was solely for my awakening. I did not dislike that Brahmin lady, nor did I lack the strength, but because omniscience is precious to me, that's why I guarded my ethics. This brings us to the theme which is troublesome to people in modern times, thinking that it would be extremely selfish of a man not to assert his protection over his spouse. And what I realized, and this is similar to the Vesantara Sutta that we read last weekend at the session here, where the Brahman requested the gift of the wife, and the Bodhisattva gave his wife as a gift when it was requested. So in this case, the king asked, "Is she yours?" Well, the thing is, in those days, a married woman is considered as the property of the husband. So doing adultery with a married woman is considered an offense of theft against the husband, as much or more so than it's considered an attack against the woman herself. That's just how the morality was constructed and viewed at that time. And a child also is considered to be the property of the father. So if you steal the child, you've stolen the property from that family. So in that regard, I think it's a little bit easier to see how when this Bodhisattva Chula Bodhi and his beloved wife both undertook the ascetic life, they freed each other from that bond of ownership, as well as undertaking being celibate, and they became companions, right? But even one's companions in the holy life, if somebody wanted to kidnap me and make me into a slave, it's possible that my colleagues here at the monastery could feel very angry about it, right? But because of their precepts, they would not go to war in order to rescue me from those who'd captured me and taken me away. This, in a way, is a even bigger threat towards a person's mental stability and towards their ethics than pure self-interest. If somebody threatens an individual in terms of their individual self-interest, they may very easily be willing to compromise and to give and to tolerate whatever the assault or the insult was to them as an individual. But then if they assault or harm a member of the family, then the clan is considered to have an ethical responsibility to take vengeance. So this is how you get warfare of the clans. Have you ever heard of the Hatfields and the McCoys? No, it's a history lesson. So in West Virginia, there were two large families. One was named Hatfield and one was named McCoy. And there was a murder. And so then the other family took revenge on a member of the first family. And they went back and forth for many, many years and decades of having a feud between these two clans, continuously taking vengeance on each other. And every time there was an act of war between them, then there had to be an act of vengeance. And just the same way, I've actually noticed personally that some of the biggest mistakes I've made of losing my temper, it was because something was done against my friend. And so, like, for myself, I know that's okay, I can tolerate it, but I don't feel that I'm able to say, friend, I want you to tolerate this insult or this assault. So it's like it makes me participate in it. So this is a kind of a very, a kind of like a clarity of ethics that a person is not accepting, desiring, willing, or choosing any harm to anybody whatsoever. And we know that harm happens, injustice happens, stealing happens. Maybe if that lady was taken by the king, she might not be murdered or something, but might be taken into the into the king's harem and be one of 10 or 20 or 100 different wives that the king has. So, but even so, it's like being taken into slavery. And according to this lesson here, the Bodhisattva will not undertake violence for any reason. Here's the Buffalo King, King of the Buffaloes. I was a buffalo who roamed the forest, large in body and strong, big and scary to see. In a cave, a craggy hillside, at a tree root or a water hole, there would be somewhere for buffaloes in one place or another. Wandering the mighty forest, I saw a fine spot. Having gone there, I stood and lay to rest. Then a monkey came along, wicked, ignoble, and nimble. On my shoulder, forehead, and eyebrows, he peed and pooed. Not just that day, but a second, third, and fourth. He soiled me all the time. He was harrying me. Seeing me being harried, a spirit said to me, "Kill that vile, wicked thing with your horns and hooves." When he spoke, I said this to the spirit: "Why would you smear me with a wicked, ignoble carcass? If I were upset with him, I would degrade myself, violating my ethics and being criticized by sensible people. Better to die from purity than live in shame. How could I, for the sake of life, harm another? Thinking of me, this one will do the same to others. And for that, they will kill him." Then I shall be free, forgiving disrespect from low, middle, and high. The wise one gains their heart's desire. I want to get to okay, here's a good one. Here's a deer king, king of the deers. I was a king of the deers named Ruru. In appearance, I was like burnished gold, focused on the highest ethics. There was a pleasant, delightful region free of humans, so I went there and stayed on the lovely bank of the Ganges. Then a man upstream, harassed by creditors, fell into the Ganges, thinking, "I live or I die." So he's escaping from creditors. Day and night in the Ganges, he was swept along the stream, crying out pitifully along the middle of the Ganges. When I heard the sound of his pitiful crying, I stood on the Ganges bank and asked, "What man are you?" When I asked, he explained to me his own deed. I was so scared of my creditors, I jumped in the great river. Taking pity on him, surrendering my own life, I entered and dragged him out in the darkness of the night. When I knew he had recovered, I said to him, "I asked you one favor. Tell no one about me." But once he had returned to the city, for the sake of money, he told when asked. Taking the king, he drew close to me. All I had done was related to the king. When the king heard this, he fitted his arrow, thinking, "Right here I shall kill this ignoble betrayer of a friend." So this story is because the creditor, the wrong had at first been done because the man defaulted his debts. And so by saving that man, the king was thinking he was in alliance associated with the other bad deed of defaulting on the debts. And so he was going to kill the deer for being in an alliance with a scofflaw. So, okay, so first, the king was going to punish the man who was the debtor who didn't pay his debts. Then the dear king, he said, I protected him, substituting myself. Let him be great king. I shall carry out your pleasure, guarding my ethics, not my life. For then I was ethical, because it was solely for awakening. We saw one verse back. One is saying that the purpose of ethics is for awakening, for the Bodhi. And then in some other verses we've seen it saying that it was for the sake of omniscience or for knowing all. And I believe the meaning of knowing all. So at this point, humanity, our beings, are in a dark age because they've forgotten the way to the end of suffering. And so the knowledge they seek is the knowledge of the destruction of the asavas, the knowledge of complete and final freedom from suffering. I'll read one more and then we'll pause and take some questions. Here's Matanga. Then again, I was a Madhudhara ascetic of severe penance. Matanga was my name. I was virtuous and serene. A Brahmin and I both lived on the bank of the Ganges. I stayed upstream, the Brahmin downstream. Wandering along the riverbank, he saw my hermitage upstream. Then he abused and cursed me, that my head would split in 7. If I were upset with him, if I were not taking care of my ethics, then with just a glance, I could have reduced him to ashes. But when he cursed me then, so angry and bitter-hearted, it fell right back on his own head. I freed him from that yoke. So the curse that he gave came back to him, and his own head was going to be split in 7. But the Madhudhara ascetic put a small lump of clay on top of the evil Brahmin's head, and the little lump of clay split in 7 pieces. So that's how he saved him. I guarded my ethics, not my life, for then I was ethical, because it was solely for awakening. Okay. Here's another case of the motif of the self-sacrifice on behalf of another, which is in common with the other traditions. By the way, we believe that these stories and actually the idea of the perfections also existed in the other religious traditions of the time. And so they were adapted and adopted into Buddhism and made a part of the path of the Bodhisattva in these stories. In the fine city kingdom of Panchala and the capital city of Kapila, the king named Jayadisa was furnished with virtuous qualities. I, the Bodhisattva, I was that king's son, well educated and virtuous. Alina Satu, of fine qualities. I always cared for the attendants. My father had gone deer hunting when he came across a cannibal who seized my father, saying, "You are my prey, don't move." When he heard these words, he was scared and trembled with fear. His thighs became stiff when he saw the cannibal. "Let me go, take the deer meat," he said. "I promise to return." Having paid the Brahmin, this is another side story that's part of the Jataka. So these poems are going to remind you of stories that you've heard since you were a little baby, and your mother would have been telling you these tales, so you would remember all the details. Having paid the Brahmin, my father said to me, "Son, rule the realm. Do not neglect this city. I promised the cannibal that I will return." I bowed to my mother and father and substituted myself. Tossing my bow and sword, I approached the cannibal. Perhaps if I have weapons in hand, that might make him afraid, and I would not violate my ethics were I to frighten him. For fear of violating my ethics, I said nothing hateful to him. Lovingly and beneficially, I said the following: "Kindle a great fire. I will drop into it from a tree. When you know I am cooked, eat me, grandfather." So for the sake of my ethical vows, I did not protect my life, and I drove out forever his attacks on living creatures. So that cannibal became good after having been in contact with the Bodhisattva. So the war between that cannibal and humanity was brought to peace. So these are some of the verses of the Charya Pitaka about the perfection of virtue, and they are mostly focused on the precept of nonviolence, non-killing. In a certain kind of way, the preceding section about the perfection of dana has the way that's the contrary to stealing. So instead of taking what's not given, you give. So the opposite practice to stealing is the practice of giving. The opposite practice to killing is the practice of allowing one's life to be taken, if it comes to that. And later on, we get to the virtue of nekkhamma, or renunciation, and that also is opposite to sexual misconduct. So you can see that some of the precepts are, some of the perfections are individually related to individual precepts. It is beautiful to have the clarity of knowing what one's values are, what one's precepts are, not being confused, not thinking that you have to go along with the crowd, not thinking that you have to go along with the rules of society, not thinking that you even have to be ruled by the regulations of civil law, but that your own adherence to 5 precepts would take a precedence over all that. So if a person were drafted into the military and ordered to kill, if they were on practicing the perfection of morality, they would not kill. even though they were ordered to do so by the government. And then even at the minor level, the subtle kind of pressure of an ordinary person, especially householders, get this. If you're working a job, it could be an expectation to be a little bit dishonest in your job in order to sell product or do business. There's a certain amount of deception that is expected you, and to adhere to the ethics of a company like that, you would be expected to be untruthful. But if you refuse to be untruthful, even in a situation like that, it's possible to gain a reputation as somebody who is always truthful, whose word can be trusted, who can be honest. And it may be that in the end, the customers would be happy to do a business with you because of your honesty. And so it is possible to do that. And it's possible that whether with your colleagues at the office or with your family, if it's the Christmas party or the New Year's Eve party, or if somebody's getting married, there can be a tremendous amount of social pressure to take a drink. And they could say that you're being insulting by not sipping the alcohol at the toast. But if one is really dedicated to the perfection of morality, you might make that absolute decision not to even take a sip of intoxicating products of any kind, knowing that even the amount of drink that most people would consider doesn't really make you drunk, nevertheless, even like one beer or one drink can very considerably impair a person's clarity of mind, the speed of their perceptions, and can really damage their mindfulness, and can cause a very significant increase of their confusion and delusion. And again, if a person is able to have that imperturbable quality that they just keep their own morality without entering into a conflict or argument with anybody about it, simply upholding their own morality, then others will be able to see the beauty and the usefulness of that clarity. They will feel, when it comes time to go home from the wedding, that having somebody who's completely sober is a good thing, because that person can drive, right? Or when there's some kind of a melee or things that can happen at parties, having somebody around who's clear-minded can be a wonderful thing. Being with a gang of thieves, having somebody who's trustworthy and honest is really a good thing. So in this quiet kind of way, you can enjoy success wherever you are, in whatever status, whether it be as a layperson or as somebody who's taken a formal spiritual practice, whether you're a member of a spiritual community or whether you're practicing on your own. It's always possible to uphold precepts, and even if from time to time you might encounter disrespect, as we see in the story, that disrespect will not affect you. And even if it might, temporarily seem that within whoever the in-crowd is who's disrespecting you, that in the long run, that the qualities of virtue will be clearly seen, and it makes a person very lovable, very safe, safe for humans, safe for devas, beloved by both, and beloved by people who are wise. So a person like that will be able to enjoy the taste of heaven in whatever situation they are in, even at the wedding party, even at the office, or even at the temple, or even being out and about in the world, to the extent that they're really able to have that inner clarity and inner certainty about their ethics. I would invite those who would like to think about reviewing their 5 precepts and see whether there's any aspect in which they could do a little better. And if they were cutting corners, don't cut the corner anymore, and find one thing that they might do to become better stabilized in virtue, and make that as an adhitthana for this week to try and experiment. And that's the idea of the perfections, is to make a resolve, to make a determination, to make a decision to uphold these values. And now I'll look at the questions. Here's Uttara, Manal, Gregory, Ryan, Yankee Apple, and Paranazism, Joseph. Here's a question from Gregory. Why would it violate ethics not to sacrifice oneself for the cannibal? Wouldn't the more ethical thing to do be to avoid harm by running away? Well, in this case, his father had already agreed to be eaten. And, or I should say, the cannibal had captured him and had just let him go for some reason, and he'd promised that he would return. So in that case, he was sacrificing himself to pay off an agreement as a substitute for his father. Avoiding trouble, avoiding harm, avoiding dangerous places is part of ethics. It's part of what's reasonable. Even we have one of our precepts is that a bhikkhuni should not go alone by herself to a place which is agreed to be dangerous. So in a bad neighborhood where she was likely to be attacked and raped or something, it's in our precepts not to go there. At the same time, back in the day, the bhikkhunis would go into the forest to meditate alone in the jungle, and they would be approached by wild animals or evil men who would the wild animals would like to eat her, and the evil men would like to rape her, and they would in the stories that were given because of their the power of their nonviolence. In the stories that are given, they didn't come to harm. So the tiger just licked the salt off their body, but didn't eat them. And in the case of the man who was saying, "Oh, lady, your eyes are so beautiful," and you know that story. She just pulled out the eye and said, "Here, have an eyeball. You think it's nice?" And so they were able to, in a way, that their embodiment of the ethic was a lesson which was being taught to the world. And so in the cases that we see in the sutta stories, by being ethical, one tames those who are not ethical. It may be an element of the folk tales of the previous time that this strong theme of sacrificing one's life, giving up one's life for the sake of others. That's that's a huge tradition in folklore, and we see it in the ancient religions. They practice sacrificing to the gods, so they would sacrifice animals to the gods, and even sometimes they would make human sacrifices to the gods, and so this has been a part of human practice since time immemorial, and somehow that the profound and powerful, like a mythology of humans being put on the altar and sacrificed to God, has become sort of shrink down to a story that's like a much smaller story, like the story of the cannibal or the story of the somebody who's going to curse them. So we don't say that one should intentionally seek out harmful situations. That harm should be avoided. But it can be that by non-violently confronting an aggressor, that is a way to bring peace to the world. So nonviolent resistance, I think, maybe that's more of the ethical stance. And if you practice nonviolent resistance to injustice, then you might not be killed, but you might be killed if you're doing nonviolent resistance. And doing that is something that saves the world. And I believe that Buddhism allows nonviolent resistance, but Buddhism also allows, this life is precious, and it's not, we're not recommending people to put themselves in harm's way on purpose. Ryan says, these stories the Buddha recounting his past life as a bodhisattva, yes. And they're also Jataka stories. So you can very quickly, with the Google machine, look up the particular Jataka stories. There's like, for the 10 paramis, there's something like 88 or some number of different characters. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Jataka stories, but you can find the full Jataka story related to each one of these poems. can give me a suggestion for don't meditation, what I'm doing when the mind starts to think of problem. My experience is that when the thinking mind becomes a problem because of aggravating things that happen, or else then are the memory of aggravating things that happened before, or the worry about aggravating things that might happen, that can cause the mind to be churning around. One thing that's very powerful and effective is to pay attention to the body and the sensations of the body. So that is way is just it's just moving the focus of attention away from where the trouble is. And that's one nice way to calm down. And then if the mind has become somewhat calmed, then you can use a reflection or a saying to help to move the mind away from those troublesome thoughts. So it would be like if you would say, may all beings be well and happy, or may I be well, happy, and peaceful. May all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May I be well, happy, and peaceful. May all beings be well. If there's some aggravating person, somebody who really gets your goat, and you think, may that person be well, happy, and peaceful. Now, doing that can, because that's still in the realm of thinking. So if you're not successful with trying to substitute a pleasant thought for the worries and troublesome thoughts, then I recommend I'll focus on the body for a while until you get a little bit more calmed down. And then you could even focus on a beautiful image, like if you picture the waves in the ocean, and just visualize that. So it's thinking about something that's completely innocent, that's completely harmless, but it fills the mind. So while the mind is filled with something else, the mind is not getting agitated. But then if it's possible to bring the thought of kindness for your own self and kindness for others, and bring those kind of inspiring thoughts, then that will help. I'm going to continue these questions. Karateka said, the Master Buddha changed my life, and sacrificing myself for, say, my daughter, it seems like a hard ask, not protecting our loved ones when in a life-threatening situation. Yes, that's really a hard ask. It's one thing that's quite troublesome to think of not protecting one's loved ones. So, to my belief, and my understanding, you should protect your loved ones, but you should find a peaceful and nonviolent way to protect your loved ones. You should find a way to protect your loved ones which is filled with compassion towards their entire situation, not filled with hatred. And one should take care of one's loved ones without also being protective of your own life and your own body. Remember the first story they'd say my virtue is immovable as the whole continent. My ethics are as immovable as the whole continent or the whole mountain. But my body is just like a breeze. It's going to come and go. So if you can learn to not worry about protecting yourself, but just protect the Dhamma, just protect ethics, then that's also the best protection for yourself. But, you know, I'm not wishing anybody's life to come to an early demise. But if it happens that for some reason your life is put in danger, and you would lose your life in an untimely way, it's the greatest thing of all if you can go to your death without being upset, without being disturbed, being calm, and still being filled with compassion, even coming to the moment of death. So find a way, discover the way, this is prudence, find a way to be nonviolent and non-hateful in protecting and serving others. So that may be enough for tonight. Thank you, everybody, for your patient listening. And good luck with your adhitthana, with making some kind of a resolve to do something special to try to be a little bit better this week. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.